I'm Peter Hill. I used to work for the BBC for news and television, and I've been a room steward here for a number of years and talked about various pictures. And I particularly like Sir Thomas Wyatt because he's both a romantic and a tragic figure. As you see, this is a small, almost medallion or coin-like pose, rather unusual, and there aren't many pictures of him. He also looks rather old and prematurely bald with this long Chinese-type beard, but in fact he's only 37 in the picture, and he's dead 2 years later. He was famous not just for being a diplomat and a courtier and a musician, but principally because he was England's foremost lyric poet, and he introduced the sonnet form from his travels abroad, in Italy particularly, which then went on to influence Shakespeare. He was brought up at court because his father, Sir Henry, was very close to Henry VII, and Henry VII needed men he could trust after the Battle of Bosworth. So when Thomas was born in 1503, he knew both the king then and the man to be king, Henry VIII, and he lived all his life during Henry VIII's reign. He was sent off to Cambridge, to St John's, when he was only 13. He studied the classics, and he was then married off when he was still a teenager to the daughter of a peer. It didn't really work, and he had for most of his life a mistress called Elizabeth Darrell. He went to the king to Calais. He was a useful man to have around with his languages. He was later ambassador to Paris. He was sent to the Papal States, so he went down all through Italy. He studied Petrarch there, and he brought back various Italian rhyme schemes. And then later on in his life, he was ambassador to the Holy Roman Emperor in Madrid, to Charles V. Now, there was some question of whether he was Anne Boleyn's lover, and he was arrested in 1536 as one of 5 men. The other 4 were executed, but he survived, and there's no evidence either in the poetry or in the fact of his imprisonment that he was. And then, very sadly, after he'd been abroad again on various missions, he was sent down to Falmouth to meet an envoy from the Spanish court, and unfortunately he caught a fever, and on the way back he died at a house near here, and alas, the body wasn't moved on, and it's now buried in Sherborne Abbey. And only after his death were his poems collected and published, but not in his lifetime. So it's a tragic story, and it's a pity he didn't live longer.